Get ready to picture a brighter future with World Illustrated, where every snapshot tells a story and every story sparks curiosity.
Next Pitch TV showcases the most innovative equity crowdfunding campaigns for the verdict of the crowd.
Behind this visionary venture is Charles Taylor, a passionate innovator with a keen eye for detail and a love for storytelling through imagery. Charles has crafted a digital haven where visuals come alive, offering users an immersive experience that blends education, social interaction, and e-commerce.
Well, first of all, Charles, welcome to Next Pitch TV, where we showcase the most innovative equity crowdfunding campaigns for the verdict of the crowd. So, if you would be so kind,
thank you.
Please explain to our audience what exactly World Illustrated is all about, and above all, how it came about. What led you to create it in the first place?
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for having me. World Illustrated is perhaps a next generation social media site, if you like. It combines different aspects of other social media sites and other businesses in one. Notably, it's a social media site like Instagram or Facebook. It's a publisher, a bit like Wikipedia or Pinterest. It's a content licensing site, a bit like Getty Images, and it's a merchandising site. So other people have done the different aspects of it, but no one has put all of them together into one, which we think is a compelling offering. It is seeded, if you like, by professional content, and that is a big point of differentiation. Going back to your point, how did it start? For 20 years, I've owned a photo agency business, a mini version of Getty. And we have tens of millions of photographs, and we license them to the media. And I was sitting one day, actually in Paris, of all places, thinking, there's got to be something else we can do with this. It's such a waste. We have all these pictures. Only a few are licensed every year, same for every photo agency, to the New York Times or whatever. The New York Times then shows their audience. But there's such wonderful stuff. So let's organize the whole of our content in a way that will appeal to a fan of a topic, if you like. So you could be interested in the Dodgers, you could be interested in beekeeping, you could be interested in a celebrity, you could be interested in birds or something. So that was the first idea, was to take all of our content and organize it in a very, very structured way so that the reader would have a great visual, in fact, multimedia experience of the subject they're interested in. So specifically, we have channels. We have 16 channels. Each channel has a sub-channel, many sub-channels, and sub-channels can have threads. So, for example, if you're interested in music, you have music, the channel, you have rock music, the sub-channel, and the thread is the Rolling Stones. So you can go to the Rolling Stones thread, and you can see a whole multimedia history of the Rolling Stones, which never goes away. That's part of the problem in the mainstream media. All this beautiful content goes away. On blogs, it's pretty poor content quite often. But we're the suppliers behind the scenes of all this wonderful visual content. So the first idea was to make it available to people who have an interest in a particular topic. And then I thought, well, gosh, that's going to cost a fortune to promote that publishing site, if you like. It's a bit like a visual Wikipedia. It's a bit like a twist on a Pinterest. I thought that might cost a lot of money. So I thought, actually, the way to do it is to add in social media. Everyone uses social media, or billions of people use social media. They do it to communicate with their friends and their family. And often they try to use it to follow a topic that they're interested in. But we have better quality content than those sites have, and we had greater depths than those sites have. So I thought, tie the publishing into social media, fantastic. Then it's an enriched experience for the user, the member of the public. So hence, that's even a next-gen step, if you like, of social media. And of course, social media sites make their money out of traffic, out of advertising. So the more users we have, the more ad revenue we will get. And I think people will be attracted by our content, one. But then the other little twist, which makes it different, is that we can do content licensing from the platform. We've done that for 20 years. We know how to do it. The holy grail of B2B content licenses is to get to the public. And no one up to now has really figured out a way of getting their professional content to the public. And I think we have figured that out too. So if you don't mind if the media, New York Times, use that example, goes to the site and licenses the content. But any individual who wants to license it for personal use, educational use, can license whatever item of content that they see. And then the other fun thing on top of it is merchandising. So if you see a picture of a grizzly bear, and you're a kid and you want to have that as a poster in your bedroom, you can pick any picture and have it printed on a whole broad range of merchandise. A mug, a mouse mat, a t-shirt, a hoodie, pair of socks, if you like. So that's really what our central premise is all about. Taking the best aspects of what some people have done before and putting them all together. So just to recap, a publishing site, a social media site, a content licensing site, and a merchandising site. And it's very exciting. Everyone that's seen what we've been building so far thinks it's really cool. You know, I've had adjectives like cool, amazing, entertaining, informative, educational, all of those things. Now, the other big way of how are we going to get this? Because you can build something wonderful like this. But having said that, only people who've got the content can build something like this. If News International wants to come along and say, we want 200 million pictures of yours to use in such a way, we'd say, well, that costs you $400 million. Because we control the copyright, we can actually do it. And how do we get it out there? We get it out there primarily or initially through our contributors, photographers, video makers, authors. Now, let's just concentrate on photographers. Every photographer we have, we've got 8,500 photographers. They're all on Instagram and Facebook. They all put their pages out there. They don't make any money out of it. It's great. It's vanity project for them. They might get the odd commission because they're visible. But on our site, every professional contributor has a professional contributors account and they have a social media account. We call it a My World account. And the two are tied together. So they can display their work. Every photographer wants to display their work, but they can also earn money out of their work. So they get a share of the ad revenue, they get a share of the licensing revenue, and they get a share of the merchandising revenue. And none of those other platforms comes anywhere close. Sure, if you're on YouTube, if someone looks at your video, you get a share of the ad revenue. But if you're a photographer on Instagram, you get nothing. And it's fascinating just how popular photography is on places like Instagram. The most followed wildlife photographer on Instagram has 6.6 million followers. He gets nothing out of it. So we're going to give all of our photographers a My World account as well as a professional upload account. And the maths is very compelling. If we started just with 1,000 contributors who had 50 friends, who had 50 friends, who had 50 friends, you get to 125 million users in three steps. Now, our first target's be as big as Pinterest. Pinterest isn't as good as us. It's fascinating. I love Pinterest in many ways. Pinterest has about 450 million users, 70% of which are female, all people looking just for inspiration. They can't do the social media stuff. And it's got a market cap, it varies, but last time I looked, it was about $29 billion. So our investment, if we get it right, is one of those, do they call them a unicorn? Is that what they call it?
That's right.
It's something that could be worth an awful lot of money for a very small investment.
In other words, a unicorn
So,
potential.
unicorn potential, yeah. I think unicorn comes out of the trap, doesn't it? Bang, like that. This is the one that could just, it's not something you might make 5% on your money, 10% on your money. It's one of those things you can make multiple times your money.
Well, the whole point is
And I
it's
think
entirely digital, and that means it's potentially scalable. That's what gives you that potential.
absolutely. And I look on places like WeFunder, we're on WeFunder. Some of them are great businesses, but they're limited by geography, distribution, manufacturing. We don't have that limitation at all. Our potential users are every social media user in the world. Now, the next way we're going to try and expand our audience is through influencers, if you like. That seems to be the popular word. So, Facebook is growing to be so good, particularly Instagram has been growing to be so big, because they have people on there that have millions of followers, tens of millions of followers. And again, those are the people that have really made those sites. There's a huge, public interest in them. So we've developed a scheme whereby rather than raising money from financial investors, we're going straight to those people who have those audiences saying, just replicate what you're doing on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok on our site. And if you bring followers, we'll give you part of the company. And it's been quite successful. It's been a bit of a stop-start because we have a stop-start with our programming. But the first people I signed up was one of the world's most famous model agencies of all places, things. And some of their models have 19 million followers each. It's quite incredible. And so I went to see them. And I said to them, I know the people that own it. I said, this is what we're doing. Get your models to upload to our site. And we've got a ratio for however many followers they bring, we'll give you a share in the company. And the boss said, it's a no-brainer. They're not earning any money out of Instagram per se. They might get sponsorship because they got so many followers, but they haven't got any of the economic value of Instagram at all. We're giving them some of the enterprise value. Interestingly, and rather surprising, the boss said, actually, what the real reason why I like it is the merchandising possibilities, because a model owns for commercial purpose their image. So if you want to use someone's image on a commercial product, you have to pay them a lot of money. He says, some of our models could sell tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of T-shirts, for example. They can't do that on Instagram. They can't do that on Facebook or TikTok. So that's another point of differentiation. That's why I'm so confident that with the combination of our content and our functionality and the way we're approaching our marketing, we could grow to be a very decent sized business who could give the established players a run for their money. Right. And sometimes
I mean, you've taken clearly viable channels and are bringing them together. And that is it's very exciting to see, actually, and I think long overdue. So, well, let me ask you this, especially since, from my understanding, you've certainly been in business for a very long time. Why did you decide, rather than conventional funding, or I shouldn't assume this actually, maybe you did get conventional funding, but if that's not the case, why did you decide to go the equity crowdfunding route?
As part of our user strategy, because the more shareholders we can have who will use the product, the better. So someone who's a crowdfunding investor can also become one of our ambassadors as well. So to me, it makes perfect sense. Have hundreds of people, thousands of people, hopefully, excuse me, who put in a modest amount of money, who then go on to use our service.
I totally agree. I think that's one of the reasons why, at least I am personally, so excited about equity crowdfunding. In other words, yes, getting funding is the primary objective. But since a typical investment is 100, 500, maybe $1,000, not people's life savings, what you're as likely to end up with as anything else is not just the funding on favorable terms, but also the potential evangelists. That it doesn't get any better, at least in my
No,
books. So,
no, I think it's a match made in heaven. It's a win-win-win. You know, the
right,
contributors, the investors, the users. It's a perfect circle.
definitely. I mean, as thing. And how has your experience been so far? Would you say with equity
we
crowdfunding?
well, this is our second time around. So
Oh,
I initially invested some money. Some of my friends invested money off WeFunder, before that. Then we chose the WeFunder route last year, and that was a success. I was hoping it'd be a bit more successful, but it's a success. But we're coming back again because I'm also a big believer, Ralph, also to answer your question, why this route? I used to be an investment banker. I know what investment bankers are like. I know what VCs are like. I've had, that's a whole other discussion.
I hear you.
But I also believe in only asking for the money that you really need at the time. Because in the fundraising culture, there seems to be this thing that, if it's not big, it's not good. I think that's nonsense, personally.
Mm.
We have an underlying business. This is another great advantage of investing in our country. We've got an underlying content business. It's got 20 staff maybe. We don't need money for working capital. We don't need money for offices. We need money for a specific purpose. It's to build that bit of software. And I don't want to pretend that I need $5 million right here now, $10 million right here, right now. Got this massive infrastructure behind it that we're going to, hey guys, that's not my gig. That's not my type of personality. I'm very careful with the money and think only ask for the money when you need the money. And also, it gives those people, it democratizes investment as well. Let the small person, the smaller investor, have a chance at participating in something which has hitherto been a bit of a monopoly for those guys that think they're super smart and can swing around lots of money.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And I must say, I think that you're definitely taking the right route. And I love the idea behind what you're bringing together. So I think there's a good chance that this will indeed yield the results that you're looking for. So anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead. You want to say something?
No. Thank you. I was just going to say thank you.
So basically, that's great. Let's go ahead and get this thing published as soon as possible to further drive traffic to your campaign. So I want to thank you very much indeed for being on Next Pitch TV, and we will get this out post haste.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your interest.
My pleasure.
Bye now.
Join the visual revolution with World Illustrated and be part of a community where every image is an adventure, led by the visionary Charles Taylor. To know more about the featured campaign, subscribe now to nextpitch.tv.